Hello Omega Strikers community. Today I want to plead my case for a few nerfs and adjusters to characters since the dev made a recent poll. In my opinion, the dev really needs to decide at era. Look at the secondary, right? 60% DK, 2.5 seconds and 80 seconds cooldown, right? And now she has, look, 9 seconds cooldown, which is half of the era secondary. It's half, right? And it gives a 50% haste buff, which isn't decaying for 1.5 seconds. So essentially, she has this ability twice, which means you technically have a 50% haste buff for 3 seconds, and you can place it at 2 different locations or at 2 different timings. It also heals 20%. So either you need to somehow buff Era, for example, make the decay a bit less drastic, or give it a 3-second buff. Just a small buff, or you need to reduce the haste buff on this character. Then you can keep the low cooldown, I think. Just a little bit more or less of a haste buff. We're looking maybe at like 25% haste buff, like half it, you know, because she already has the max stagger, knockback, and she can place it like around a circle. Like she has a lot of stuff going on in her kit. For example, she has a free eject button on her ultimate. It's a big utility. She already has enough utility. So just probably reducing this a bit is enough. I wanted to look at Finny's 25 seconds ultimate. I think adjusting it to 30 seconds is a much needed nerf, but in return make the slow of the ultimate a little bit higher, so that your ultimate stays being special. Because look, she's primarily a damage dealer, right? So your ultimate being this low gives her so much core control, and I feel like 25 seconds is just too low for what she gains. Like how effective this is in breaking barriers. Like most Finis don't even pick extra special since this thing is already so low. I feel like that character needs the nerf. So what else are we looking at? Honestly, in my opinion, removing the infinite scaling is enough. Like it's enough to remove the infinite scaling. In return, put this thing at, let's say, 35% speed, because it, like, the fact that it can actually stay on forever is already a huge buff. In return, you probably want to buff the primary's range a little bit, and to put the ultimate at 30 seconds maybe. Kazan, there's one really bad thing about Kazan. Kazan's goalie potential is really high, but it can honestly be like, it's hurting. But honestly, the most annoying thing about Kazan right now is that to do the season 3 change, there's a combination where he strikes and instantly grabs the primary, the core with the primary, which gives him a free strike reset. Honestly, I would just say remove the strike reset for Kazan on his primary. Like make it an actual disadvantage, a actual debuff or something like that for his primary. He can have it on the other ones. I think that's fair. Yeah, one last thing. One last thing I need. That needs, okay, maybe not one last thing, but a lot of center rows have started to use the low knockback to stop the core. I feel like this is giving the character that has so much utility already. He basically has 3 dashes inbuilt in his kit. I feel like you need to make this the first interaction, give it a lot of knockback, like 300 maybe, so that it doesn't stop on the or maybe even 150, so that it still lines up with the primary, right? But right now, a lot of people are abusing the fact that that's a very low, like almost zero knockback, and I feel like it's just giving an unfair edge. Because at least Kazan's whole point is that he can grab the core, right? But essentially, Sentaro forces the goalie to, like, you can easily miss your strike. A lot of times interactions in this game works like this. The goalie needs to put a certain risk management, right? And this risk management is just completely gone if this thing stops the core sometimes. It's really unpredictable because ultimately it's in the hands of the Sentaro whether this thing stops on the battlefield. And then it doesn't become a game of risk and a positional advantage. The goalie has gotten himself, despite often playing on lower speed characters, and most of the time you just waste your strike, and then Sentaro has so many options open, especially because the core stops in front of him, but it's not close enough that the goalie can do anything about the core. And I feel like this interaction just needs to be gone. Maybe if this interaction is gone, you can like buff his stagger by like 50 to 100. Yeah, last one thing that is just really unfair. This 600 primary range really needs to go. It has a similar problem with Sentaro that I explained with this stopping on the battlefield, except it's like the reverse thing. He can pop it anywhere on the battlefield in a 600 range instantly, right? Instantly. So it's no longer a guessing game, but more of a I need to be lucky enough to hit the timing. Like I need to like, I don't know, how do you call this, jiggle peeking or something like that, this in FPS shooters. I need to do something like that, so if I have very good luck, the rune falls for it and thinks I strike, then he wastes his primary. But most of the time, even if I shoot it somewhere where I win, like let's say I'm standing in front of my corner as a goalie, in front of my corner. So like I'm past the corner already, but I send it backwards so that the next interaction that happens is not getting started by the enemy having core and then using his abilities. On Rune, most of this time just doesn't work because he has too much primary range. In exchange, I think it's really fair if you put the secondary at 15 seconds, but give him 2 charges. Just give him 2 charges so he actually becomes a character that sorts of stays true to his law. He's basically the vibe he is giving off. He's basically giving the vibe of being a shadow, right? So it's really awkward that the best thing about this kid is that he has an insta 600 primary pop. Just reduce this range back to the old one before you give the buff. And then put it at secondary at 15 seconds and give him 2 charges. I think this could be a really interesting change. Like, this is a risky change, but it's probably still fairer than giving him a 600 primary. I think Kai's speed needs to be reduced by 5 seconds. So Octavia is the fastest character, because Kai has already so much speed. If he has -5, he still is the second fastest character at 570, right? And he has this much speed too on his secondary. Like, just a 5 second reducing of his speed would do a lot. As for Estelle, I think I think you should give her like you gave her -5 speed, right? Just give her 450. She has so many high cooldowns on her kit. I feel like it's undeserved that she actually has -50 speed in comparison to the Centaur that has so much more things built in his kit, right? Oh yeah, one last thing, because it has become really cringe in the EU. There's a few Dubo forward players. They aren't necessarily as much mechanically gifted as the counter players they match up in matchmaking. Like let's say there's like 2 pro leagues and 4 challengers, right? And so far my experience has been, if that one team has Dubu, they are more likely to win, because this ultimate is just not, it's not possible to defend against this. If he gets too close, and he will get too close, this thing scores so much. So what I'm thinking is reduce. It has like five things, right? I don't know, barrel. You can call them barrel maybe. You can put them to 3, and you would actually not hurt the goalie at all. Put it to 3, and maybe reduce the cooldown, like to 30, and put it to 3 barrels, because a goalie usually wants to shut down a certain area, right? And I feel like if he still has 3, that's still possible. But this 3 for Dubu forward is really not that good, because it reduces the AOE range of where he could potentially just win the situation against you. Like if this ultimate ever comes close to the goal, you will not win. You will not win against this. Like this goal line. If this ever comes, like it like touches the edges, this ultimate will win any interactions, and for that reason, the devs need to look at a Dubu forward nerf, but for a Dubu goalie buff. Yeah, Atlas. I know. I feel like he's fine. It just feels like his special is just like now has a free eject button. So I was thinking to like make his special a little bit more, I don't know, more special. I don't know, I don't even know what buff you could give him, like in terms of gear in that ultimate. Where is it? Yeah, like this now has this in the ultimate, right? Maybe damage reduction. If you are inside the ultimate of Atlas, what about giving the people that are inside the ultimate damage reduction? That would make his ultimate feel a little bit more special and a little bit less pointless, because now insta heals, right? But Atlas, the forwards need to stand in that circle, and most of the time they are just making a bigger target of themselves. Well, now we look at Awakenings, right? Because you also wanted to change Awakenings. I think the one that needs to be looked at the most is just Unstoppable. This thing has to go. It has to go. You can't punish people with bad positioning if there's an Unstoppable start. It just feels really awful to play out these matches. Knife's Edge. Maybe not remove it, but look at the speed, how much speed it gives. If you compare it to a lot of other speed items, like even stacks on stacks, you need to build up stacks on stacks, and then you have 15% speed, right? You get the double of that for free as long as you stand at arena's edge, which unnecessarily buffs characters like Asher that already has a lot of stuff in their kit that makes her very strong at edges. So you're giving them a super buff with Knife's Edge. I feel like, but if I had to decide between which one of these has to go, then it's definitely Unstoppable. What else? I I feel like most of them are actually fine. Yeah, maybe FOFF just sucks to play against. But you know, some awakenings, like you, I can hate awakenings, but I can stand again. You know, like awakenings are supposed to do something, right? It hurts me as a player because I am good in positioning, so I don't need the extra speed. But this is an awakening that helps a lot of players that are badly positioning themselves. So I just need to swallow that one up. No. Yeah. I saw that. Wait. In game at least. In game at least, it showed like a buff to 13% and 3.25. I think the fact that both of these items, Super Search and Explosives, are in the rotation is already like buffing some characters too necessarily, like too much. So buffing, the fact that this thing got buffed for some reason just feels awful. Like even in Centaur, right? Let's say he takes Super Search. He wouldn't take he could just avoid this thing, this awakening, and go for that eye instead, and he would have a 65% extra damage and knockback. Like the fact that this even works is ridiculous. I don't know. Wait, is Twin Drive reduced to 2%? Where is it 2.5? Whatever. Probably just some kind of how do we call it? Oh yeah. In case you struggle, to find out a way how to nerf Kazan goalie, I would just recommend nerfing team player to a little bit. Nerf team player a little bit. Like nerf the first interaction. Nerf the first interaction, it's 20%, nerf it a little bit, and make the second one a little bit more high. This way you can actively avoid Kazan goalie. You can avoid Kazan goalie actually being a meta pick despite it being a hard forward. Like this character is a hard forward. The fact that it's a viable pick on goalie is insane. Well, that's it for my suggestions for the changes. Yeah, pretty much. This is it. Well,